Hey, what's up, ghouls and gals? Today's video I feel like is going to be a little more positive than the last video. I have seen your comments and you guys seem to either really agree with me or seriously disagree with me on my picks for my worst horror movies of the year. But today we have my horror honorable mentions, and this is a list that I do every single year because I watch like primarily only horror, like a lot of horror movies. I would say like 75% of the movies we watch are horror. And I feel like this list specifically is one that I use to recommend and give you guys my reviews of films that I genuinely liked a lot, but not enough to be on my favorites of the year. However, there are 20 movies on this list that we'll talk about today. And like the last one, there is no particular order, nothing is ranked. These are just 20 movies, pretty much, I would say, in the order of the year, going from January until December, of movies that I really enjoyed, but not enough to be on my like main movies of the year list. So let's talk about my horror honorable mentions of 2024. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more. Check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. I would like to say a big hello to all of the new family members we have that have joined us here. I am so excited for all of the content I have planned for the new year. You guys, stay tuned. One thing I love about this list is I feel like the first movie on the list and the very last movie on the list almost give off the same energy, and I hope that you agree with me. So let's start off by talking about Destroy All Neighbors. A struggling rock musician finds himself in a living nightmare when he accidentally kills the neighbor from hell. This movie is seriously so fun, with a super surprising cameo from Alex Winter. This movie is honestly just a really fun, stupid, good time. I put this on a list of double features for Halloween to watch with Psycho Goreman, and I want you guys to keep that in mind for where we go moving forward. All right, moving on to number 2 and Immaculate. This year honestly was the year of the nun. A woman of devout faith is warm welcomed into the picture-perfect Italian countryside, where she is offered a new role at an illustrious convent. And honestly, this movie did, like, in hindsight, was a lot better than I thought it was initially. I at first was a little bit weary because I was still thinking of Sydney Sweeney very much in like White Lotus, Euphoria, like those kind of like hot girl roles, but this really was out of what I pictured her in entirely, and by the end she really did put so much into that character. I felt it. While I don't think the story was as strong for me as the other nun film, which will be in the other list, I just genuinely thought it was a solid like story through and through. Very well executed, by the way. Some very beautiful and memorable scenes. All right, number 3, we have a film that shocked me in so many ways. The Coffee Table. Jesus and Maria are a couple who have just become parents, and they decide to buy a new coffee table, a decision that will change their existence. This one is actually shocking and probably will be up there on like disturbing movie lists to come. And this is on the honorable mentions because for the shock factor alone, like I enjoyed it, but it just, I honestly feel like if they would have just tightened the story up a little bit, made it a little bit short. I know it was short to begin with, but if they just trimmed the fat in a couple of places and tightened it up, it would have kind of breezed through and it would have felt so much crazier because there wouldn't have been any respite, I guess. Nonetheless, a really messed up film. 2024 was also the year of spider films. films, and there are two. We've already talked about one in my last bug horror list I did, and there will be a part 3 coming. But let's talk about Sting. After raising an unnervingly talented spider in secret, 12-year-old Charlotte must face the truth about her pet and fight for her family's survival. And this one honestly surprised me because it does have to deal with like an alien that's the spider, but it's done in such a way where it feels fun and like not. You don't have to like suspend your disbelief too far because you just think about the spider, and I don't mess with big spiders. But that one is a film that I feel like is just fun, and you can have it on in the background if you've got people over who enjoy the same genre and you just kind of want to give the ick to for a few hours. Let's talk about Slay. This one I believe is a Tubi original. Tubi has become like one of our holy grails for films. They had so many great originals this year. After a booking mistake, 4 drag queens find themselves performing for a mostly unwelcoming crowd. But when vampires attack, it's up to the queens to slay the day. And Alex and I are huge fans of Drag Race and of a lot of the queens featured in this film, especially Heidi and Closet. And we just really liked seeing them in this kind of format and not just lip syncing on stage. Like, we really got to see them develop characters and do what they do best to give us a show. Okay, at number 6, this might be a controversial pick. I feel like you guys could go either way with this one, okay? And don't come at me. This is gonna be so stupid. You guys know I love bad movies. Winnie the Pooh 2: Blood and Honey. Not wanting to live in the shadows any longer, Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Owl, and Tigger take their fight to the town of Ashdown, leaving a bloody trail of death and mayhem in their wake. And the reason why this is on this list specifically is because I just really enjoyed how it tied in to the first film. And when you watch the first one, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. They're literally just wearing rubber masks. But there's like more to it, and I hate that I'm even defending this movie right now because it really isn't a great film at all. But I just like, I am such a sucker for sequels, and I hate that about myself. I just really liked how the story was continued and how they didn't just leave us with like a bad taste from the first one. Even though you guys might not have liked this one, I genuinely did. And I was thinking also about bad films, and I love Charles Band so much, and I should have put what's the film that he did? Quadrant. Oh my gosh, Quadrant was one of the worst films that I had seen last year, or this year I should say, and I completely blocked that out of my brain. It was so bad. At least there was boobs. Number 7 is As a Cat Lover, A Quiet Place Day 1. As New York City is invaded by alien creatures who hunt by sound, a woman named Sam fights to survive with her cat. I am tired. I feel like I'm getting tired of the Quiet Place universe. However, I love Lupita Nyong'o so much. Seeing her in this film protect that cat with her life, the ending was just so heartbreaking. I loved it. I really connected with her character as a cancer survivor. I really, whenever there's a character that is dealing with that, I feel like I connect to them so much more. And that one really got me. Joseph Quinn, Alex Wolff, such a great trio of people in a film that are amazing actors, and it was just fun to watch. That cat, I would open my home to that cat. I already have enough of them, but I would open my door to that beautiful soul. Okay, at number 8, I kind of debated whether or not I wanted to put this on the list, but we don't often get a shark film that is enjoyable and felt realistic of sorts because it is in such a serious, like, real place. Under Paris. To save Paris from a bloodbath, a grieving scientist is forced to face her tragic past when a giant shark appears in the Seine River. And it's just such a wild concept to think of. Like, they just had the Olympics there, which is why I felt like the threat felt real, because they were literally shitting in the water there. But like the sharks, like, that's the horror version of the shit in the water. I mean, it was still pretty horrific. But the reason why I debated on putting this on the list is because it felt like such propaganda. It felt very pro-cop and like anti-shark, when I mean, I feel like I'm the other way around. But let's move on to another movie that I really did debate on adding to this list, because this is another one in hindsight that I feel like I enjoyed a little more than I did at first watching, and that's Abigail. After a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, they retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they are locked inside with no normal girl. And like I've said before, like Dan Stevens, it's on sight. But I didn't mind him in this film. I honestly really did enjoy Melissa Barrera and Angus Cloud. It was just fun to see him in a horror movie. Rest in peace. And honestly, it was just a fun vampire film. Like, we don't get a lot of like vampire films that are revolving around like a child vampire, which felt a little different. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't absolutely love it, but I liked it enough for it to belong on my honorable mentions list. Okay, at number 10 is a film that I feel like I've talked about to death, but it just stuck with me in such a way that it made me feel so icky, and that is Ghost Game. Follows a thrill-seeking couple who set their target in a haunted house and endure various incidents as they witness a family going mad. And there is a character named Mr. Watley in this film. I think about that entity every day. Like, it's so you guys gotta watch it and like report back to let me know how you feel about it. But if you guys know the concept of frogging, like PHROGGING, it is like when you try to be stealth in someone's home and like mess with them, well, like, so they think their house is haunted or something or other. I don't know, but I know it's a real thing. It's scary, and it literally makes me want to like triple check my locks at night. God, it was good. All right, moving on to apartment 7A. A struggling young dancer finds herself drawn in by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promise her a shot at fame. We have to protect Julia Garner at all costs. I love her so much. I think she is just so precious, and I think she is such a fantastic actress. I liked this film, but last year we did a read of the book, Rosemary's Baby, and then we watched the film, and I just feel like they changed Terry's story in a way where I just felt like it was off, and I didn't want that. I wanted what we perhaps because there's a couple of differences between the book of Terry's story, like what we kind of get a glimpse of, and then what we got in apartment 7A. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here, but it just, because it felt off to me, like that's what was keeping it from being on my favorites of the year, because I did love Rosemary's Baby. But I will tell you, this movie, I felt equally as gaslit as I did watching Rosemary's Baby, because the Castavets, that's another couple, like, it's on site. No, they are so, like, Minnie just gets under my skin so bad. The thought of her as a character is just like, she's my worst nightmare. Okay, at number 12 here is a film. You guys know that I say this all the time. I am the biggest baby when it comes to scary faces. and faces that are unsettling, or something that like when I close my eyes I will like see it behind my eye. Like I get so, I'm a very visual person and my imagination is absolutely wild. So like I am very, I don't want to say like I can see things very clearly. Like when I picture things in my head, like I can tell you exactly what I'm picturing. When I close my eyes, I can describe things to you exactly. And that's why I feel like scary faces stick with me so much, because as soon as I see something that really genuinely frightens me, it's in my head and I'm thinking about it and I'm visualizing it. I'm closing my eyes and I'm fully seeing it in my brain. And that is what happened with Daddy's head. And it's been a while since I felt like something has affected me in the way that the face on the guy in the like, it's just, I see it and I immediately recoil. A boy and his stepmother fear for their safety after an eerie creature resembling the boy's recently deceased father visits them. And let me tell you, if I ever saw that thing in real life, it would be a football going into a goalpost. Like, I do not want to be a part of it. That thing, that face, like, genuinely, just like the pitch, like, that's your father. Like, just thinking about that, it's just, ugh. And I feel like this, as a film, like, it does fall into the child grief subgenre, very Babadookian. However, the face, that how much it affected me and it stayed with me, that's why it's on this list. All right, another film that I kind of debated about putting on this list because it really wasn't my favorite. However, there is a scene in this film that is so haunting, and that is Red Rooms. A model becomes obsessed with a high-profile murder trial, and like, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but there is a storyline in this film where there's a court case, and we followed like the model, like I mentioned, and you don't really get what she's all about until you realize that she's doing some like seedy things in the darker parts of the internet. So she's a part of this jury, and there's a missing piece. There's a missing video file that will incriminate the murderer in this horrific case. It's a lot of, you don't see much, you read a lot, you hear a lot, but visually it's not scary. However, you get to this final scene in the film, and I'm just gonna talk openly here. If you don't want this spoiled for you, I just skip a couple, like 30 seconds. Our main character is now bidding on the dark web for this missing file, and she's bartering and giving money or Bitcoin or whatever, and she's bartering and she gets this missing file, and she has to like prove all of this identity and whatever. It's so scary, and it felt so like the human trafficking, like post-mortem. It's just so, oh my gosh, it just felt so icky, and it left such an impact on me. And I think about that ending scene so frequently because it was so well done, where it lets you really think about people, and you really don't know what people are doing behind closed doors. Like, people, you could be seeing the most beautiful model like in the movie, and she is doing dark web, like snuff film trading, and it's so scary. It just really makes you think about people, and I don't know, it's a very good character study of a film. I highly recommend it, especially if you are, I would like almost pair this with The Zone of Interest, because they're both films where you are audibly, it's a horror film, but like visually it's not so much. And number 14 as another film where I just didn't know if I liked it enough However, in hindsight, I did, and it's what's inside. A pre-wedding reunion descends into a psychological nightmare for a group of college friends when a surprise guest arrives with a mysterious suitcase. And truly, I think I was just annoyed because I feel like I was so caught up being a watcher of this movie and like not really focusing on like the interworkings, but I was more watching like the camera work is so interesting, and the colors and what they represent, and like the split screen aspects of it all. And then when I kind of stepped back and like really thought about the whole movie like as a whole, like it's crafted very well, and it's a movie that really makes you think, another one that really makes you question the people around you and their motives, because what if you did get to be in someone else's head? And it poses a lot of questions, and it's a lot more smart than I wanted to give it credit for on first watch. And this is, I feel like, a perfect example of what we talk about here on this channel with not yucking anyone else's yum, and also being able to like learn and grow and change your mind on like your review on something. Just because you didn't like it the first time you watched it, just because you may have dismissed something, it doesn't mean that like you don't have to. You can give it a second try if you wanted to, and you can change your mind. It's fine. There's a movie we're going to be talking about in a few months. I have a schedule going. And I feel like it's a movie that I hated so much, like so inwardly. I hated this film, and I don't want to spoil it because I want you guys to like stew on that. But I'm ready, and it's not Malignant. But I'm ready to kind of open my heart and give it another try. So I'll let that be your clue there. But moving on. I am sad that this next film is on my honorable mentions because I am the biggest Ty West fan. Maxxxine has made it to my honorable mentions. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxxxine Minx finally gets her big break, but as a mysterious killer stalks the starlet of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. And it truly did feel like a departure like I feel like with X and Pearl, they were released so close together that you really got into the characters and you really understood Maxxxine in the first film and Pearl in the second film. But coming back to Maxxxine, so far removed from the first film, after those two being released back to back, I feel like I just had different expectations for it. Great film. It was really, really fun. It was so fun to watch, but it just wasn't what I thought we were going to get from Maxxxine. It felt like Ty West was trying to throw too much extra into the film, if that makes sense. But anyways, let's talk about another film that I feel like was a little bit controversial this year for a remake, and that is Salem's Lot. The original Salem's Lot, to my mom, is how The Grudge makes me feel. My mom has that kind of reaction to the original Salem's Lot, and I feel like thinking about her watching this remake, I just had so much fun. Author Ben Mears returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot, only to discover his hometown is being preyed on by a bloodthirsty vampire. And just Count Orlok in this film was just so, like, everything was just fun. Everything about this I just enjoyed. Lewis Pullman was excellent in this, and I think he is a great rising star. There's definitely some issues with the film for sure, and I can definitely admit that, but I think that my enjoyment and how much I had fun with it outweighed the bad for me in any kind of capacity. And like I said, like I don't normally recommend a lot of great vampire films, and this was not great by any means, but it was fun. All right, we are in the last few movies here, and this is another film. Like, a lot of these films I surprised myself with because I didn't think they were gonna make my full list of honorable mentions. I only thought we were gonna have 10 on this list, but we're almost at 20. So let's talk about Speak No Evil, another remake. A family is invited to spend a whole weekend in a lonely home in the countryside, but as the weekend progresses, they realize that a dark side lives within the family who invited them. And I just, like, James McAvoy was doing the most in this film, and it made me so unbelievably uncomfortable, and I feel like that's what he was going for, and he did a great job at that. The amount of times that I was like screaming at the TV, just like I know how the story goes. I know I've seen the first one. I enjoyed the first one. However, there is like the ending is changed and it's not the same. And I feel like that stressed me out even more because I was kind of predicting things to go one way in my head. And then when it didn't, I was like, oh my God, no. At number 18, I do think it's seriously way too long, this next film, but we're going to talk about Stream, a film I really did not see putting on a list at all, but I just enjoy Damien Leone, David Howard Thornton. I enjoyed that whole group, the fuzz on the lens, everybody from that whole camp I enjoy so much. So I kind of had to add it to a list because of how much I enjoy them. A family's weekend getaway truly turns into a vacation to die for as 4 deranged killers playing a sadistic game lock down their hotel and compete for the most creative kill of all of the guests. And it's like all of the horror cameos. There's so much that went into this film that I actually enjoyed. It's just the runtime made it feel like kind of a chore. It's over 2 hours long, and if this film was maybe 80 minutes, it would have been on my best movies of the year. Okay, at number 19, this one may be a little controversial. I have seen literally so many terrible reviews for The Front Room. A newly pregnant couple are forced to take in an ailing, estranged stepmother, and there's so much poop in this film. There's so much. This is like poop exploitation. But this, like, I do not have a maternal bone in my body. I just thinking about that, watching Brandy navigate this as her character in this film was kind of like free birth control for me. I love my mother-in-law. She is an absolute angel. And it made me think of, what if I was in the situation with someone that I had to take in that I absolutely could not stand. I kind of put myself in Brandy's shoes for the whole runtime of the film, and that made me horrified. Like, her situation, I have the complete opposite of her situation in that film, and just kind of sitting there thinking, if that was me and I had to deal with that much human poop, I think I would just leave. I think I would just take my baby and go. But it really was a solid entry from Max and Sam Eggers, and I think it was fun. I know a lot of people really did not like it, but I did. I was just so annoyed. I feel like it was just the visceral reaction that I got from all of the characters. I was so mad by the end of the movie. And when a movie gives you such a visceral reaction, I feel like it needs to be on an honorable mentions list. Okay, our last film here. Remember how I said Destroy All Neighbors reminded me of Psycho Goreman. Psycho Goreman is one of my favorite films and it will be, of all time. The film is so fun. It is just such a silly, fun time. So when I found out the director of Psycho Goreman was doing another film, I immediately lost my shit and I was so excited. So this is a film called Frankie, Freako. And the title, like, don't let this deter you. Like, it may sound like it could be a silly throwaway film. And it is, but it's more than that. After calling a late night party hotline that promises out of this world fun, an uptight yuppie must battle the pint-sized forces of evil that are unleashed through his phone line. And if you've been here for a while, like I've mentioned, I love Charles Band. I love all of the little creature film. Puppet Master, I love all of the Full Moon little creature films. I love Ghoulies, Munchies, Gremlins, Critters, Hobgoblins, all of the little guys. This was exactly what I needed. It was some updated little freaky guys that I could just love. There's so many incredible little characters that are so full of heart and love, and oh my goodness, by the end I was in tears because I just enjoyed it so much. It is truly the definition of a stupid Friday night film. You're gonna pop it on, you're gonna make some snacks, you're gonna maybe have a drink, you're gonna smoke some weed, you're gonna hang out, and you're gonna watch this stupid film and you're gonna have the best time of your life. I promise you, it is just so silly. And if you liked Psycho Goreman, you will probably like this one. It has a great message to just kind of let your freak flag fly and be yourself and just enjoy life. We are only here for a good time, or a short time. I have a good time, not a long time. We're only here for a short time, and we just gotta make the best of it and enjoy ourselves and not let things like work and money hold us back from enjoying what we have in front of us. And I think that's a really positive message to end on. I'm gonna leave you guys there. I regret to inform you that my next list, my next video is my best horror movies of the year, and I could not narrow it down whatsoever. So there's 30 movies on the list. I am so sorry. Let me know if I should split it up into 2 different videos, or if you want all together one video with 30 movie recommendations. On that note, I will see you guys so soon. Let me know if you've seen these films that I've mentioned, if you agree with them being on my honorable mentions, or if you think they should have been on the best or worst, or where you think these movies should have fallen. I appreciate you for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys so soon. Sayonara, Spooky Man.